Hi, this is Atara 16 and this is a video guide for a NORAD deck as opposed to the NORAD deck. So this is a deck which I've been using in 10 versus 10 mostly. And I'll show you after in a replay how it works and how well you can do with it. This is, I must say I did a few modifications following the round which I'll show you, but it's for the best. So this is, there's no specialty. Usually I actually play with a support NORAD deck, which probably should show you at some point. But this one is more a general deck, so it's more balanced, I guess. And you have a bit of everything, but it's a bit limited in number to my taste, which you need to compensate by being extremely careful with everything you do with it. But if you use it well, it's amazing. Okay, so first thing I use is the MV as a command vehicle, very fast moving vehicle, particularly good off-road as well. So that's really effective at capturing a zone very early on. Perfect for capturing a zone where you can spawn unit, for example. You can get there quickly and you can hide it somewhere quickly as well because of the off-road speed of 90 kilometer an hour. So here the HEMTT, which I call EMT, or something like that. So this carry a lot of supply, very practical. You call them individually or in group of two, and they can supply your stuff for a while with 2,400 liter. Only one group. Here I use the Canadian cargo because it has 2,500 liter and it can be useful to resupply your stuff quickly. In this case, I'm not using an FOB because this is mostly for 10 versus 10, and I guess you rely on the stuff from other people. For that, the kindness of other. For infantry, LAAD Stinger C with a Humvee. This is a very effective anti-air, perfect for town or forest. And with 70% accuracy, they can kill planes pretty easily. Usually it's good to deploy them in group of two. In group of four, it's perhaps a bit of a waste. But in group of two, it's good enough. You deploy them in town or forest, as I say. Canadian rifle with the TH 495. This is like your regular infantry, which you'll use in in buildings or in forest. It's not the most amazing, but it's not the worst either. But the transport is actually really good. If you use them in combination, they can be very effective, and that transport has a really good autocannon. So it's high firing rate, for example. It's very useful, and you cannot really get away without having your regular infantry in the fight. So engineer with the M113A1, a pretty basic unit to have. Throw napalms, perfect for clearing forest and town. The SMO with the LVTP7A1. This is a bit of a strange combo, but it's kind of a good combo because the SMO is really good against vehicle, and the LVTP7A1 is really good against infantry. So you can actually, and they are amphibious, but I don't really care about that. They are really effective against tank. Even a heavy tank will have a hard time against these. Perfect for forest and town. And yeah, it's a really good infantry to have, and that vehicle transport with grenade launcher end up being useful even for tank push because it will stun the enemy tank while your tank are doing the job. Highlander 90 with the CH 135. So this is Canadian Highlander essentially. And with the fastest chopper, I think this chopper is probably one of the best transport chopper for the Nato faction. Without costing much and without being let's say, an attack chopper. So it's a bit of that's a really good gun, let's say. Perfect for suppressing infantry. What it's good for is that it gets somewhere really quick, and it can land on a place with buildings really quick as well. With the Islander, with this, they are amazing against vehicle at short range, perfect for capturing a town, for example. And they are good in CQB. So it's a really useful unit without being an elite unit, so you have a large amount of them, and early on in the battle, deploying them, assuming you have somebody else to cover your advance, is really useful. If you manage to get these into the town first, the enemy will have a lot of trouble to chase you out. Okay, support ATAC. I only have one, but yes, if you prefer, you can have two, but I prefer to have the anti-air instead because I play 10 versus 10. This thing will destroy anything as long as they don't move. You can destroy two positions, so you fire once. Well, you fire the first missile and then the second one, and then on another target, preferably. And then you'll be able to destroy very expensive thing with that. Or enemy artillery or command vehicle or anything you feel like destroying, which is a vehicle. Against infantry, it doesn't do a thing. Patriot, I use two of them because the first missile have a tendency to miss and the second one has a tendency to hit. So having two of them is a really good deal. It has an amazing range of 5.6 kilometer and 70% accuracy, which is really good. And an HE power of 9, which is really good as well. They are on wheel, really mobile. If you protect them well, you'll do great things with this. But certainly not the best unit to have in front of the line, let's say. But you keep them in the back, and with this you'll do great things. The M113 ADATS, that's Canadian anti-air. This thing is really good. Very effective against vehicle, chopper, plane. And move them in group of two and they'll be able to shoot down many things. Against vehicle they are really powerful because they have 25 AP power. But the problem is that they themselves don't have much armor, so they probably should not lead the charge. They should be probably kept into the forest supporting an advance. And other than that, you probably will be able to kill many choppers with it, especially because you have a range of 3.1 kilometer. And planes as well with 2.4, but chopper are your main enemy with this deck, I guess. Wolverine is another anti-air. I guess it's really useful against chopper with 2.4 kilometer range. This thing is super mobile. Off-road it's 100 kilometer an hour. On road is 150. It's amphibious. The accuracy is 45%. But this thing is actually super effective at surprising the enemy. You use them in group of 4. You get in and you get out, and you will actually be very effective with this. If you don't like it, I guess you can go with the Avenger instead, but the Avenger doesn't have as much of a range against the chopper. I guess it's minimal difference, but sometimes a few meters does make a difference. So that's up to you. Here, M1A2. This is actually really rare that I use heavy tank, but this deck calls for it. So this thing, that's your main battle force. You use this carefully, and you support your troops from afar with it. You get in and you get out, and you'll be able to kill everything with it. M8 AGS, that's a very effective unit. High rate of fire, good accuracy, 17 AP power, no armor at all, which means that if they are exposed, they'll die. But it's super mobile and on the move with a stabilizer of 60%. They are really effective at doing offensive, or because they are kind of small, they can be missed by the enemy fire. and the cannon is just amazing. So it's perfect for defending, but it's also perfect for attacking, as long as you call them in the right context, let's say. Now these two here are complementary tank, which originally in the replay I'll show were not there, but following the game I had there, I decided to add them. Because the thing is that with only 2 cards of tank you can make it, which I did, but that leaves you no space for recovering from a potential crushing defeat early. So these two are additional. They are pretty similar to the M1A2, but let's say a little less armored. But for the rest, they should be effective at killing stuff. Here I'm using the longbow, which is something that is really effective, but you probably should not risk it early. And because it's so expensive, I have a tendency to be rather conservative about it. So it's good, but be careful with it. And that's why I end up relying much more on the other recon units, which are the Humvee. Humvee with the grenade launcher, perfect for holding the enemy infantry from pushing into your line where you don't want them. Also pretty mobile, I should say. Here the Pathfinder, that's a Canadian recon unit, which is as good as a regular infantry unit, because they can fight in CQB. They have some number here, strength of 10. And the transport, which is a Grizzly, is really fast moving. So this is a really reliable unit. Actually, if you end up wanting to fight more into a urban environment, using more of them might be a good idea. The Recce, which are very stealthy, same transport, Grizzly. These sniper can actually shoot vehicle, so that's a cool thing with AP power of 1. Or it's a bad thing if they reveal their position. But these guys are exceptionally stealthy, so that's very effective. And with that transport, you can get in to a position very fast. The Bradley here, this is a recon Bradley. As a result, it has 12 missile instead of 4 for transport. Same Bushmaster, a bit more stealthy. And this thing, I've seen them kill many very heavy tanks, so T-80U and that kind of stuff, while remaining stealthy. Of course, they have a bit of armor, but if they are revealed, they'll die quickly. So, but it's useful to have at least a very good optic with them. And it's a really good, reliable unit. Vehicle, Chimera, Canadian Chimera. Very effective at destroying enemy tank, and actually this is one of the vehicle which is extremely powerful in this game. People have a tendency to ignore them when they see the M1A2, but that's a big mistake, because the Chimera, we have 4 of them. They have 19 AP power, a front armor of 20. The only weakness might be the side and the back, let's say, or top. But this thing is just amazing. Slow rate of fire, that's a bit of a trade-off. But they take a lot of punishment. So that's a really good unit to have. The Zippo, perfect for harassing the enemy infantry in town. Actually, I use that much more lately. It's really fun to burn everything with it. You just click Q and move around, and they'll engage on sight. And this is better than the tank version, in my opinion, because this is smaller and costs less, and they die as much either way. Combat. Now the combat, what's interesting about it is that it has good range against chopper, 1.8 kilometer. AP power of 5, HE power of 1. It's really good to defend some area against enemy infantry, chopper, and light vehicle. So very effective unit. Here, that's another addition to this deck, an Apache, which is a good complement. I will say either go with the Apache or the Super Cobra. Super Cobra will bring you more anti-air capacity, while the Apache gives you more anti-tank capacity. But in this case, I decided to go with the Apache because they are really useful. Air Force. So here I'm relying with the CF-18 Hornet. Very good with cluster bomb, and very deadly, and good ECM, I guess, for the situation. And then I'm using the F-18C Hornet, which have very good missiles here, perfect for destroying heavy tank. I'm using the Eagle, the F-15D Eagle, which has big bombs, 40% ECM, so that's really good. Perfect for destroying the enemy infantry or bomb a city and get in and get out quickly. Here I'm using the F-16C Block 52. They have AMRAAM missile, so great accuracy. I guess they are good combat air patrol, but certainly not the kind that you leave into the fight, but they still have 40% accuracy, well, ECM I mean. So that's a good air unit. Here, this is mostly a thing which is not that useful. So Navy I used to Lafayette with maximum experience. I don't know if that's good or not, but I don't really mind. And some STR B90H with best experience as well, so that gives me 6. So high accuracy, perfect for supporting your troops near the coast. Plus some supplies here, you never know. But to be honest, I'll leave it to you to choose better stuff. So that's the NORAD deck I did, and I'll show you now a replay where I'm using it. And hopefully you'll enjoy it, because I tried to be as close as possible to the battlefield as opposed to be high in the sky. So let's do it. Okay, so here we go with the NORAD deck. And this is actually a replay, so I think this is a battle where I pretty much had to deploy most resources. Nearly all units. But at the beginning, it was a bit of a quiet start. So all I did right at the beginning is claim that territory here. It's a bit of a wait and see. Because in most 10 versus 10 battle, what you end up having is a strong flank or a strong middle, and then there's always somewhere which is neglected. But in that round, actually, all the plays were well fought, so by my team, and as well as the enemy team. So let's speed this up a little until it starts. Okay, so here we go. So the MV command vehicle, kind of practical to get somewhere fast. It's pretty fast off-road as well. So that's why I'm using this in this deck. There we go. Parked. Capturing the zone. And at that point, it's mostly a matter of checking what's going on around. Friendly is calling a Fiat. And I'm calling a recon, Canadian recon. My objective being to actually have a clue what's going on the other side. Sadly, in this deck, I don't have a chopper, which is a bit of a weakness of it, but usually I end up being okay with it. Now the other stuff I'm deploying is on the MK19. Now these guys have a grenade launcher, and actually deploying them into that forest here, it's a pretty effective way to defend against enemy push, because the grenade launcher is really good for that. So here, moving my grizzly with the recons. It's really mobile, so that's practical. Now the Fiat is actually scouting a little over there, which is a good thing. It's really practical to deploy scouts here. While my Canadian recon are on the tip of the hill, being stealthy and all. But I'm mostly seeing enemy choppers, which is not particularly good for this deck and this area. There is some action elsewhere. Actually, here I deployed an ATAC. And it doesn't show, but I actually fired an ATAC around here because we briefly saw the command vehicle. So I took the opportunity. That certainly did slow down the enemy a little on that side. And actually, I think that's pretty much the only thing I did with that ATAC, because the reason why it's pretty much the only thing is that I ended up being buzzy elsewhere, and I completely forgot about that one, and I let it close to that FOB, and it's very likely that somebody ended up shooting from there as well, leading to the destruction of my ATAC. But ATAC is certainly one of the best sniper unit for artillery. If you see heavy vehicles or heavy, well, valuable targets, you shoot one round, then you click stop, and you shoot the second round on something else which is of value, and with that you'll be able to destroy the enemy pretty good. Okay, here I'm deploying some infantry Canadian rifles into that forest. I'm also using their APCs. It's important here when you defend to deploy at least one group of infantry in that forest. This ensure that you might slow down the enemy a little. Seems to be a scout there. That might be what scouted my ATAC. So deploying anti-air infantry. Support my recon because there is a lot of enemy choppers. You can actually see my scout here shooting enemy recon infantry coming here. But I'm pulling them back to preserve them. And here I'm taking some space with the recon, no, actually the anti-air infantry. My Stinger Cs. And I'm bringing my APCs with autocannon to assist into the defense of that hill. These APCs are really good. Have a good rate of fire. So now I have Humvees, which is shooting. But it's mostly the autocannon which are suppressing those Formosa. Actually, my anti-air here took a shot at one enemy chopper. And to be honest, that's the only thing that happened over here. Now this guy on this side ended up seeing a large amount of tank over there. So I decided to come and help because this guy, I think it was mostly an airborne deck. Or actually the guy that started here had a lot of chopper. So what I'm doing now is I'm deploying some combat. Combat are really effective against infantry and light vehicle. And they can also be effective at shooting down choppers. So I'm sending them to cover that hill over there. And now you can start to see the amount of enemies coming our way, and this is a really big offensive. Well, here I'm sending a recon to also assist my combat. And now, at that point, I kind of came a bit light. But seeing the amount of enemies coming, you can see that now I'm starting to deploy stuff. So I'm calling in all my tank as well as some Chimera. Because I just don't want this place to fall. My ally brings some choppers, which are getting shut down. This is a very heavy offensive. So M8 AGS, really effective tank. Good on the move, perfect to react to an enemy push like this. They die quickly, but at that kind of range, everything dies. Calling in Chimera and ADATs that also help. You can see here a lot of very heavy tank being destroyed. T-72BU. So essentially all their offensive is just getting slaughtered. My M8 are leading the charge. Also attacking over there, there's some T-64BM. Now the problem is that it's clear that I lost a lot of M8 because they don't have much armor. My ADATs are also starting to be underwhelmed by the amount of planes that came. Fortunately, the plane did some cluster strike, but none hit my heavy tank and Chimera. So the Chimera here was a very good call. And now, because all my M8 are dead, I'm just pushing back, actually. Well, I'm pulling back so that I can repair my stuff, and I saw a lot of missile coming from there, so I don't feel particularly confident. Here I call a longbow, which is probably a mistake, perhaps a bit too early in the fight. As you can see, it's taking fire already, and I'm losing it. But I still have another one. My ADATs are shooting those recon choppers, which are important to shoot down because when they have them up, they can be quite a pain. Now they are targeting my ADATs with their MiG-29, which I shoot down, but I lose my ADATs, at least two of them. So I'm pulling back my other stuff. I'm also pulling back into that small forest here. Because first of all, this forest is out of the line of sight of anything which is beyond that forest here. And secondly, if they have to bombard stuff, they will bombard that line of tree. So it's good to pull back. I'm also calling some empt and patching up my Chimera mostly. Calling in some Grizzly with recons. Now I really did stop their attack, and while that happened, my ally is starting to build a proper defense here. I'm also assisting with a few ADATs over there. And now they're attacking my combat, which are just not good enough to fight T-80 which are actually 170 points. So now that my Chimera are mostly fixed, taking the advantage here from the T-80s actually showing their side. There's a couple of UAZ SPG which are probably there just as a distraction. They want us to fire on them instead of heavy tanks. Now what's interesting here is if you look at those T-72 they are actually targeting my M1A2 as opposed to my Chimera, and that's probably a mistake. Because my M1A2 can take the punishment, and my Chimera are still a really powerful firing vehicle. And actually these Chimera end up killing a lot of those expensive tanks. Doing some recon with Canadian Rifle Transport. Shut down expensive plane there. Have some Patriot in the back. These will actually survive most of the battle and shoot down many enemy. Or at least damage them, keep them away. Actually, the big challenge of this round will have been to actually maintain the supplies of my unit. Interesting strategy here. He's moving around with fighter MiG 25, and behind them there's a seaplane. But I'm shooting down their MiG 29 PO because they don't have enough ECM. Now they're coming back with another wave. My ally is bringing some Apache, but he's bringing chopper in a very hostile area. As you might notice, those Apache are getting messed up quite a bit. On top of that, there's artillery falling there. Engaging my M1A2 again against the enemy push. Killing a few. Chimera is also shooting down those guys. This combat that I moved there is shooting a light vehicle in the side. So Leah lose it to some VDV rear. Some of my ADATs here are shooting and killing some enemies, but the problem with ADATs shooting vehicle is that you end up wasting missile on the vehicles instead of the planes. So MiG-25 with cluster bomb, we're doing a raid. Patriot missed, somebody else got the kill. I'm pushing forward with my Chimera, which are facing T-72B October 1980 something. Now the problem here is I'm pushing too far ahead with my Chimera without much support. So they end up being exposed here against the enemy. They kill another tank here, but it's time to pull them back. Bringing some cargo supplies, which are a bit limited, I guess, in this deck, but still, normally you probably won't end up under that much pressure. Killed another plane there with the Patriots. Now their anti-air are shooting near me. I mean, seaplanes. They're bombarding my Patriot position, as you might notice there. It's important to move them a lot. As you can see here, I'm already at a couple of MTA vehicle without supplies. I have an ally here which has a lot of good tank, but to be honest, he did not use them particularly well. For example, these are M1A2, and I think he will likely lose them. He's using them at killing UAZs at the moment. In my case, I'm still fixing up my Chimera, which are taking a lot of the punishment so far. These are T-80Us. I think we essentially killed the heaviest stuff they can throw at us, except those T-72BU at that point. But at least the early push was defeated. Now the good news with his move here is that he's actually managing to kill a few heavy tank. But I'm still not supporting him in that move because I need to fix my Chimera. And with the deck I have, it's clear that I cannot really... I cannot uh, waste my troops. I need to be very careful because these M1A2 and those Chimera have no replacement in this deck. So that's why I'm not as aggressive as this guy. Got another kill here. No, I think somebody else got it. And considering the amount of heavy tank facing me, I've got an SU-25 there. It's clear that this battle will be lengthy and they have a lot of heavy tank. So I need to be very conservative with my stuff. Because it's very valuable. 180 is not something you should waste. They are valuable and they are not replaceable. I don't have much to replace. The M8, losing them was okay, but for the rest, it's a bit of a one-shot deal. Now I'm moving some combat here, but what's annoying is that there's a T-72BU or T-80 UM, which is very well placed to intercept whatever I send there. So I'm a bit... yeah, it's T-80U. I'm losing a couple of valuable troops there. Actually, this guy really did play well when you look at his deployment. Chimera destroyed the 150 points tank here. Now the problem here is that my Chimera targeted the Tungushkas instead of targeting those tanks. So as a result, they ended up being destroyed. So I lost my Chimera, moving around with my M1A2. But without the Chimera, I'm much less effective now. I sent most of my supplies over here because those Patriots really take a lot of supplies. Destroyed the T-72B 1989. Another one here, so that's 2 down. And now I'm receiving artillery, so it's time to pull back. Got another 120 points there. My Patriots are still alive, amazingly. So pulling back my M1A2 for repairs. While here with the Canadian riflemen, I'm entering the forest, and the objective here is to secure that place. Because there can be some incursion with the infantry or choppers. So that's a good idea to have troops there. My ally did not move his mortar after shooting, so that's a bit... it was pretty bad. There was a lot of mortar to shoot them back. Well, he's moving them, but a bit late. Some Spetsnaz GRU here. My Canadian APCs took care of that, but now they know that I'm there, so I'm spreading around, running around, literally. As you can see, the enemy mortar will fire at me really quickly. And I'm moving them uphill so that they can intercept the chopper at close range with the autocannon. But I still have some Wolverine here in case. What's interesting about that replay is that it's a very narrow battlefield. So it's actually easy to describe. Now because I see that he's shooting mortar from here, I'm moving my Patriot away. Nice, they're bombarding us with cluster bomb, pulling the Abrams back. Wanted to move forward, but no luck there. Counter artillery is falling on my ally mortar. Ah, there we go. Mi-24 are going over that hill. So I'm working on shooting them with a cannon, but that's not enough. Moving in my Wolverine. But my Stinger C are actually shooting down those Mi-24. And last one is getting destroyed by Wolverine. These guys are not that accurate, but they are actually really good. Well, 45%, it's not that bad. The fact that they are very mobile make them very effective. You can see that they don't like that I'm there. One ally is deploying a couple of tanks here. I deployed the Bradley, which have a good view and good weaponry. It's just that it's kind of risky to reveal them. But the thing is that in this deck, I don't have that much else to deploy. And at that point, I think I likely lost my ADAT. Yeah, I did. My poor little ADAT. Not ADAT, but ATAC. Now it's clear that the other team was probably starting to rebuild their force. And in my case, I did not have the amount of troops necessary to push them back at the moment. Because that's a bit of a problem with the NORAD deck, is that you are a bit limited in the amount of troops you have. Perhaps a little too much. But I guess that forces you to be more effective with them. So now they're moving with Spetsnaz, which is a smart move. Canadian rifle are no match for that. And I don't have any autocannon anymore in that place, so that's problematic. My allies seem to react to this though, which is a smart move. I'm using my Wolverine for suppression, but this is a bad idea. And you can see here they actually brought some Conquerors. So as soon as I see that, I pull back my Wolverine. That's useful to waste them. And somebody dropped the bomb there, probably with the Nighthawk. And this ally decide that he will clear that forest. My M1A2 are shooting from afar, and that's really what they are good for. M1A2 are really amazing tank at long range, but don't get them in close fight like this. Actually, when you look at this push, which is made with M1A1, he's not necessarily losing, but he's not having the advantage in a forest. So close quarter is really bad for tank. Don't do that. So here, apparently won against the Spetsnaz, but now they're coming with more stuff, as well as choppers. Decided to move forward with the Bradleys. I'm not sure it's that much of a good idea, because the Bradleys just don't have the armor necessary to survive the fight. Well, here my Wolverine are killing a couple of choppers, but there's just too many of them. Now the good news is that they did not unload their troops. My Stinger managed to kill one IL 102. Those Stinger C, very good unit. And IL is not equipped with ECM. Or not much, at least. My Patriot are still alive, which is a rather amazing thing. So that's why I'm moving them still, moving them away from revealing their position. I did repair my M1A2 Abrams again. I brought my Bradley here so he could see these. Actually, my ally is taking advantage of that vision to kill those conkers. Now they're coming in with some Motostrelski. That's a bit too much for my troops. Fortunately, this guy brings some choppers, transport choppers. I have a combat which is also suppressing them, but that's not much. It's mostly those links which are doing the job against that infantry. I guess they're starting to be clever to use smokescreen to advance now. Actually, one of my allies is in front of the smokescreen. You're kind of feeling that at that point the other team is starting to be running short on heavy tank. Deploying some SO engineer here. They managed to, well, actually my troop transport killed the remaining infantry. They're still bombarding over here. And actually lost one Patriot. There was a MiG-25 with seed capacity that shut it down. Blew it up. Which is very annoying, because from my experience the Patriot missile is amazing when you have two, because one will miss and the other one will hit. When there's only one, it's much rarer that you will actually have that. So M1A2 are shooting those tanks over there, but I'm taking a lot of damage. But my objective here is to sneak those infantry into the forest, which work. Moving my ADATs back because I find them a little too close. Here another T-72 destroyed. But now it's clear that I'm way too ahead, so I'm pulling back again. I think that this is, with this deck, it's really important to be conservative. Okay, so Now this hill seems mostly secured. Now because they are probably low on tank, they likely are starting to rely a bit more on choppers. And because we don't have much anti-air, which is good against chopper. For example, my Patriot are not even shooting choppers. Now I want to fix my M1A2, but my supplies are empty. That's why I will rely on my ally supplies over here. Now the problem we have here is that this guy is pushing, but we don't have anything to destroy that Mi-28. I'm moving my ADATs, but sadly I don't think they will ever have an angle on those Mi-28. I will have had to move them a bit further here to have that. Actually the Schma here actually destroyed a good tank over here, I think. If there's a wreck somewhere. But these are friendly wreck. Anyway, there was a good tank here and they took care of it very easily. So I'm calling in some Bradleys. Because my allies seem to be pushing forward, he will have to have some recon to have a small advantage. My ADATs are also shooting over there. But the problem is, as you might have noticed, I lost one ADAT now. And that's because ADATs don't have much armor and they are vulnerable. So he received a missile in the face. So my ally managed to, or actually I managed to use my allies supplies to repair my M1A2. Because I'm a bit low on supplies. Also moving forward with my infantry. Using the grenade launcher over here to stun the enemy. Which is helping my team, but not much my transport. Now you can see that they are really invested into that line. You have a Bradley nearby. Tungushka is shooting my Schmo. Oh, just killed something which was worth 25. Well, this guy is charging with Abrams. M11P, I think. Yeah. Actually, it's M1IP for the Fanatic. Su-25 coming in. Managed to get it with either a Nadat or a Wolverine. Now they just bombarded us with Buratino. And it's clear that they're starting to do a counterattack. While my anti-air are a bit short on ammo, so I'm pulling them back, and they're a bit too close to the fight, so that's why it's a good idea to pull back. Now my M1A2 are the strong unit in the battle line, I guess. But look, right now they're full. I'm pulling them back, getting a shot at close range, 2 damage, but with the amount of enemy tank coming in, you just pull back from there. There's no point risking your M1A2. It's a long range tank. Here we lost the Bradley. Now my Patriot is out of ammo. Put the radar off. Have some ASO engineer on that hill. Probably would have allowed us, if I still had an ATAC, to bombard these Buratino and some bucks in there. Sadly, my ATAC was destroyed. I'm pulling back here. Now, I did notice that in their line there wasn't much of an anti-air presence. I had not noticed any. So now it's time to use the Apache with 16 missiles. So you can see all the kills. Also, I moved in my M1A2. Pull them back right after. As long as they have the range, it's fine. Killing some APCs with the infantry in there. Killed 2 vehicles there, 65 each. Killed another one which was 65. I guess now I feel like I have overstayed my welcome, so I'm getting out of there. There's no point having such a valuable chopper in an area where you can see allied chopper die. I'm receiving some cluster artillery fire, trying to dodge that with the M1A2. My ally doesn't mind and push forward. The thing is that I could probably stay around with my M1A2, but one of them is half health. And the other aspect is when you don't necessarily have the controls of the troops in a zone, unless you really know your ally, how he plays and that kind of stuff, it's best not to risk it, because you might end up thinking you have a big army helping you and then it just vanishes because of the incompetence of a friendly player. Actually, you can see just here with the amount of destroyed Abrams that it's not a pretty sight. Moving forward with the grenade launcher. Now these vehicles are practical to stun the enemy. They're a good complement to your force. I unload my Schma. There was an Mi-28 over there. At that point there's only a few anti-air holding the line. And the match is pretty much over. So as you can see, that was quite a mess. It ended up a draw, rightfully so. And actually, this guy here was helping me. He lost a lot, but it was pretty much a draw for him as well. In my case, I killed 7,817 points of enemy stuff and lost 3,380. So this is a very good score. And let's see what did what. So my ATAC only served me to destroy one command vehicle, which was a bit of a dumb move, but still manage. So troop transport here. M8 did kill Tungushka, T80 UM, very expensive stuff. Chimera did kill T64, T72B, T64BM, very expensive stuff. Couple of Tungushka, these worth 100 points. T72BU here. That's mostly the initial push they did. Now that other Chimera, quite a hero. T64BM, T80UM, T80BV, T72B October 1987. Tungushka, very expensive stuff there. Combat did kill a chopper here. That's notable. M8 did kill T64, M1A2, Recon, but T72B October 1989. That's better. Couple of tank here, same type. That other M1A2 killed a lot of T72B October 1987, T64BV1, T62. Yeah, these are okay, but not that expensive. So my two Abrams did kill nearly a page of stuff. The longbow here was quite a waste. So, yep, terrible. Here, Reki, VTV. Patriot, MiG-29M, MiG-25 RBT, IL-102. Wolverine, a couple of planes here, proving their worth. The other Patriot did kill a lot. MiG-25 PD, these are the fighter version, I think. MiG-29S, Su-25, expensive. MiG-25 BM. Couple of more choppers here. Here an ADAT destroyed the T-72B October 1987. The Schmo actually destroyed a T-80 BV and a Tunguska, proving their worth. It was very good. The longbow, that's the one I called toward the end. BMD3, T-80 UM, T-62, T-62. And here actually I did call two CF-18 Hornet, and these did not really look like I did, but they did kill two T-80Us and one T-64BV1. It's just that we don't really see that in the replay. And I did lose a lot of stuff, but I guess that sums it up. And this other guy was with me as well. So essentially I was the one doing all the damage. This guy was also with me. So we were actually 4. And I know that there was at least 3 enemies in front at the beginning. I don't know if we ended up facing more, but that was a good round. And I think it does show how well you can use the NORAD deck if you play carefully. I think the score kind of proves it. So yeah, I hope you enjoyed this, and I'll see you on my next video.